This is a CV. It's one of the most common things you will break in your four-wheel drive, and especially if you're running an IFS 4x4. This one is out of a solid axle vehicle, but the one we're fixing today is an IFS. It basically looks the same, but is shorter. Just for reference, this is what an IFS CV looks like. Now, as you can see, it's smaller and shorter and weaker. Here we've got the main axle, which you can from time to time break. We've got the CV here, which is the important part, and the stub axles. Now, depending on your vehicle and how it's set up, a broken CV can cause a whole world of hurt and extra damage to your vehicle. So it's important to get it out quickly and know how to get a new one in. Now, fortunately, we've got Aaron from Patrol Apart right here, right now, who's going to tell you the whole process, exactly what you do and don't need, and how easy it is. So make sure you're carrying a spare and watch this video to find out how to change a CV.
Let's have a little look-see at what we've done. Oh!
Half the problem.
Now there's your problem.
Half the problem's grease.
The way the CV works is there's meant to be a cage around that, and the balls that are in here slide around in there, and they allow this half to move like that, so that as your steering moves and as your suspension moves, that moves around.
So you can see the cage and the balls, broken axle. So the balls let everything, so you can turn corners.
This tends to be the weak point. That's part of the cage, so it's just exploded the outer cage until the point that the balls have exited the cage and the cage is broken. So that's what we've done. Here's one I prepared earlier. We actually have boxes made up specifically for sending axles and CVs. We were having a bit of a think about what the trip might be like, what tracks we were likely to do. If something looks like it's worth having a crack at, we like to have a crack at it. Seemed like I'd be letting the brand down if the Nissan didn't have a go. Look at that step. One more crack. One more. Just one more. One more. One more. One more. One more. One more.
Oh, CV.
From what we just felt, it actually looks like it might have broken the axle, so it probably will have sheared the axle out of the back of the knuckle. That one will do. Could you turn the steering wheel to the right? Luckily on an independent front suspension car, getting to the front CV is actually pretty easy. So we're just stripping the caliper off. We'll get the hub off, slide the CV out, slide the new one in, and away we go. Not back to Hardcore Hill. See if the Makita can get it done before we move to the Milwaukee.
Just undo these ABS lines out of their brackets. Because if it swings down, it'll tear them out, and then we're on all sorts of hurt.
We're going to need a lever bar to pop the axle out of the diff.
Do you put them in just raw like this?
No, my preference would be to put a bit of copper grease on it.
So a lot of people try and put these in, and what happens is, see, the circlip's sitting down on one side, so when you're trying to push it into the spline, it binds up on that and you can't get it in. So the trick is just put a bit of grease in there so you can hold that center, and it'll just go in so much easier.
When you break a CV, depending on where and how it's broken, it might, instead of just spinning round, it might spin on an angle. And so over time, you can do damage to other componentry. Where we broke it, we were in a spot where we kind of just needed to drive out. So we continued on, and as soon as we could, we put it in two-wheel drive to stop the front diff from turning, just to try and save it from doing any further damage. Have you got a decent breaker, bud?
You're a good rattle gun, man.
Did a good job. We unhooked the ABS line just to make sure that we didn't put any strain on it. And last thing we want to do is fix one problem and create another one. So we're just tiptoeing our way back through before we put the wheel back on. That's a fairly common part we sell as well, ABS lines. And how often are you in the workshop here fixing stuff?
Most weekends.
What are you mostly working on? What sort of vehicles?
Prados.
Prados.
The last 4 Prados that have been in the park that have had people in them that aren't afraid to have a go.
No, not
They
the
probably
small one.
had too much of a go and broke it.
Let that down and I'll go over them by hand.
How easy was that? Now, if your vehicle's making a clicking noise or you've lost drive to one of your front wheels, it's odds on you've done a CV or an axle. Either way, you now know how to replace them. Guys, if you need more information, get on to the guys at Patrol Apart. They do this sort of stuff every day. Now, if you enjoyed this video focusing on Nissan patrols and mechanical repairs, then we've got a stack of videos for you to watch. But especially, we've got one on the top 10 things you can do to upgrade your GQ Nissan Patrol. Click the link right here to find out more.
Oh!
Holy, look at all this damage!